Hello, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Crypto Valley Association podcast. You're listening to season 3. I am your host, Shraz Ahmed, and we're just about ready to kick off another bite-sized episode with you all today. Many thanks to SEBA Bank for supporting this initiative as they pursue their mission to redefine finance for the new economy. I have no doubt that our special guest today will be able to tell us a bit more about that. Now let's discover together the growing trends of this fast-moving space and try to shed some light on the mysteries it contains. Today, on the very first episode, we are joined by Guido Bühler, Chief Executive Officer of SEBA Bank, a pioneer in the financial industry, providing a seamless, secure, and easy-to-use bridge between digital and traditional assets. So let's dive straight into the world of banking. Hello, Guido. How are you doing today?
Great, thanks. Thank you very much for the invitation.
It's our pleasure. How about we start off things here today by allowing you to share with us your first blockchain-related experience?
Well, it was a call of a family office client. Prior the SEBA adventure, I was running with another co-founder, Philip Barreto, family office. And one of our client called us in 2017 early on and asked us to establish a crypto portfolio, where my answer was how you spell crypto and what is it all about. And that was basically starting to diving and understanding blockchain up to the point where then I understood I remember on the 27th December at 5 o'clock in the evening in a bar, that blockchain is a multi-purpose technology that has 4 attributes which allows to basically redefine the roles and responsibility in the infrastructure of finance in its entirety. And the conclusion of that was for me to really approach it from a top-down perspective. And that was the idea and the beginning of SEBA Bank.
Wow, fantastic. And why don't you tell us more about SEBA Bank and what SEBA Bank represents, vision, mission, and ethos?
Yeah, so basically it's very obvious for the audience here, but it's still worthwhile to reiterate, right? Blockchain is more than crypto, and crypto is more than Bitcoin. And with its multifunction purpose technology, it's clear that the finance has a new tool set. It can redefine elements on the asset and the liability side, on the primary market and the secondary market, to all various client segments. And that is really what SEBA Bank is all about, to provide this holistic service offering to the various client segments. So how are we doing this? Initially, we started out to be the full bridge, right? So between the digital and traditional world. Initially, our clients were private clients or private clients with institutional needs. And then clients that are already familiar with the crypto world and wanted to have a more seamless experience. In the meantime, we have a lot of, I call it traditional money, institutional traditional money, like other banks, pension funds, hedge funds, independent asset managers that are looking for a fully regulated capability with institutional service capability across the life cycle of a product. And what are we doing? We offering digital banking services, typical ramps services for the G20 currencies, and also maybe for some more exotic ones for our partners. We have a wallet associated to that is a card, debit or a credit card, and with our superior custody capabilities. Then we have, as another capability, we have a trading and credit platform. It's probably the most integrated platform that currently exists. Which is based on a principal basis. So when you deal with us, the deal is secured and agreed. You don't have to care anymore about market slippage or execution risk. It's done at this particular moment without commission and without additional mining costs. And we also provide credit services, typical crypto lending, but also what we have done, we also have financed real estate on the back of Bitcoin holdings and typical investment finance. Then our third element is the investment products. We have launched various investment products. One is SEBAX, which is a basket of selected cryptocurrencies based on a official buy-side research capability that we have in line with the Swiss Banking Association. That's very important for the traditional money that comes in, that they can give evidence that their investment decision is based on a reliable source. Lately, last week, we also have launched our Polkadot tracker certificate that is also listed on the exchange, also representing the views on what kind of protocols or players we believe are playing an important role in the future. And last but not least, it's all about the origination. We have a digital corporate finance function that is obviously doing the digitalization of assets. We all know the story about that, but also for selected counterparties and mandates, we accept mandates for crypto, for corporate finance, really helping to raise equity for various companies. So that's quite a holistic offering, providing a full suite of services at a one-stop shop.
Yeah, definitely a very, very full and complete and inclusive suite of services there. And I'm really looking forward to deep diving individually to quite a few of them. But maybe just start off by congratulating you. I mean, you just received Digital Startup of the Year award from the IT Group. I mean, this must be incredible news for you. I mean, how do you react to hearing such news, and what does this mean to you?
It means a lot to us as a team. It's clearly people are always driven by a purpose and a mission, and then with full pride we are executing. And there is always, the things that you work on, you are quite proud of it. But it's then even nicer if there is an external recognition that also manifests that what you do and what has been achieved is a sort of a cool thing. So we are very proud of it, particularly that the award is issued by a very company with a significant renommee and has a significant credibility in tech space. So yes, we are proud having received that award.
Incredible, yeah, and undoubtedly so. I mean, most of us found out about SEBA Bank from the news in August 2019, right? When the Swiss Financial Market Authority, FINMA, they granted you with a banking license, becoming one of the first financial service providers in the space to have done so. I mean, this is where you're at now, but tell us more about that moment maybe in the past of how that felt to receive that award then, and how far you've come to winning Digital Startup of the Year. It's incredible.
So yes, so basically you start with planning the bank, right? So when I had the idea, the 27th of December 2017, I had to find some people that are crazy enough to embark on that journey. And we met the first time on the 2nd February 2018. And at that time, do we still need a bank? If yes, how does a bank look like? And we were kind of in the planning the bank phase until the 1st of October, when we, in the meantime, presented our blueprint to the regulator. And we were super positively surprised that we got an affirmative action. We also have, at that time, raised 100 million to build the bank and kick off the bank. So then on the 1st of October, we went into build the bank. That was super exciting. So from 6 people, we ended up eventually to 65 people until August 2019 when we obtained the license. And then eventually we kicked off the running the bank, accepting our first client, which was me, by the way, in November 2019. It was quite a significant transition, right? Because build the bank is a project mode. You're very excited. You are reporting to the regulator, but then when you go live, you are monitored by the regulator. And it's super important for the regulator that an organization has its full stability and things are going the way in process and products as you intended to do, versus then every startup has its pivoting moment and you have to be very agile. And so the excitement was super great in August when we obtained the license, but also then we had a bit of a reality check when we started to run the bank. And to give a bit of context, in July now, as we are in 2021, it's only the 7th quarter that we are running the business. And it's been a heck of a journey. So we have growth rates of 12% on the client base compounded on a monthly basis. We were growing assets by 30% on a compounding basis. We had trading volumes 70%. So significant growth in the meantime. And it's a super exciting journey, but it's not easy to be a bank and a startup in a space that has to redefine itself, so to speak.
Yes. And wow, those are truly some incredible numbers that you just shared there. And I'm sure that a lot of that comes from the community, right? I mean, the user acquisition, having more people join you as well, where some of this community, of course, they're kind of maybe a little bit against banks, which we'll touch upon a little bit later. But I want to focus now a little bit just on the community side. And you mentioned the new announcement of the Polkadot ETP. I mean, maybe you can talk us through a little bit more about, like, maybe not why Polkadot, but how do you come across listing new products? How the focus on the community when taking into consideration new products, new releases, and the likes?
So yes, it's a very good question. So one of blockchain from a cultural perspective also means three things, right? It's about open source, it's about collaboration, and it's about sharing. So that's also when we moved into build the bank phase, we announced ourselves at that time because it was very key. It was very important to us that we learn from the community. We were not embedded in the community, and we were a sort of an outlier in the traditional world. And it was super important for me to be fully connected. And that really helped us to onboard some super experts into the organization that saw the vision and wanted to be part of that journey. The second point is when we are now, there's about, I think it's more than 8,000 assets or tokens are listed on various exchanges. We have to be very careful who we are engaging with, what kind of protocol we endorse. And as a bank, you just do have to know that we're not about getting an asset in. It's really about integrating a blockchain, a protocol, and that protocol will issue certain assets. And once we integrate a protocol, with that protocol, we can issue products or assets, we can store them, we can finance them, we can distribute them, we can trade them. We also can do the forensic in the context of money laundering laws and all the likes. So it's quite an important step. And so the selection is basically bottom up and top down. Bottom up in terms of who is behind the protocol, what is the governance therefore, how immutable is the technology, how robust is it, what is the development environment, the adaption. So that's one criteria. And then from a top-down perspective is also the interest from potential investors, the interest in terms of the space that a particular protocol wants to engage, and is there an asset class that's in particularly interesting or a use case, so to speak. And we are very, very careful about this. And then we are selecting a range of potential protocols. And like an investment committee, there are very difficult and thorough conversations until we come to a conclusion and take the decision. And for instance, like Polkadot, then adapt that as an asset class with a wider view for full adoption into the organization, and then even list that the tracker on a Swiss digital or the Swiss exchange. The Swiss digital exchange is soon to come.
Great. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that detailed explication there. And so this is a question, I mean, we often bring up in the podcast. Actually, it's as the Crypto Valley is based in Switzerland and you're yourself. Tell us more about the decision on basing SEBA Bank in Switzerland and not another jurisdiction, maybe like Singapore, for example, or elsewhere around the world, or even what is really attractive in your opinion about the Swiss ecosystem?
So Crypto Valley established by a coincidence, basically, right? I mean, we had where SEBA Bank is located today, the Collinplatz 15. It was the government of the city. And as you know, there where the first cryptocurrency was accepted as a payment. And it was that decision was basically, the conclusion for the decision was by the city government being approached from some Crypto Valley individuals that the government would accept this new concept of money. And why do I say that? It is a typical example of how Switzerland works, and it's a little bit like it's a decentralized government. When we talk about decentralized ledger technology, it is still, the power of many of structured policy or fiscal policy is with the community in the city, and then it's obviously embedded in the county or the canton, and then it goes up to the nation. And this distribution allows much quicker adaptation to innovation. So that's the first thing. And in line with that DNA sharing in a way, at that time, the Prime Minister, Ralman, said, Switzerland wants to be the crypto nation of the world, and actually promoted many of those thoughts. And that all brought new talents from all over the world into the Crypto Valley to Zug. And Zug in itself is a cluster of various eco players. So we have a lot of commodities, we have life science, health, license right. Many of the big supranationals are residing here. And so it has a very fruitful ground of collaboration and sharing. And it's supported by this groove. And that's how it all comes together. And then last but not least, Switzerland has this concept of a universal bank, which is not an official statement. People say a banking license, but a banking license that doesn't qualify in itself what kind of banking license. So you have pure remittance license up to the biggest degree of licensing, which is a universal bank, which doesn't exist in the US, where savings bank, mortgage bank, that all has to be separated. And we applied for this. And it's almost like being over-licensed initially, but I believe the technology will now present with so many new opportunities that with this particular license that SEBA Bank has obtained, we can adapt very fast and provide solutions. And we are not blocked, or we have a hurdle by asking for further license granting by the regulator. And this are the three elements. So it's the structured policy of the government, it's the support of the government, and then it's the regulatory environment that we have.
Great. Yeah, it's very, very concise there. And I think you mentioned some really, really interesting points. I think a lot of them reside as well around the educational topics, right? I mean, you need to kind of know, of course, what you're talking about before knowing where to base yourself. And we often hear about the importance of education. And of course, we've seen SEBA bring out SEBAversity, along with actually one of the newly elected board members of the Crypto Valley Association, Marcel Harman, who is leading SEBAversity. Can you tell us more about your thoughts on education and how you're promoting education through SEBA?
From the very beginning, it was clear to me that we have to do some demystification. And therefore, education was a super important element from the start on. And I have learned that, that maybe the people from the community, they are very deep into blockchain, and then obviously crypto is sort of the killer app of it, right? And there was a very fresh, but maybe also a bit a naive approach to it. And then you had the more the traditional guys that don't want to think outside of the box. It's all very fragmented. And then you have many users that deal with money or finances, but they don't really understand the entire universe of finance, what's out there. And bringing these three dimensions together was super important. That's why we worked very early on that concept. We also working with various universities to give this education. And you have to be aware, it's a total, we call it a non-profit arm. But what I want to say is that education is totally agnostic. It's never a push to sell something or to position SEBA. The content in itself is very pure and honest and not drifted on one side, and gives basically everyone the chance to understand. And the concept of SEBAversity has three user types. First of all, we have the curious. These are the people, they have heard about it and they would like to get an intro, understanding the one-on-one of things. Then we have the content of the explorer, has already done stuff, likes to do more, but is not sure what are the do's and the don'ts, or have identified certain shortcomings and are looking how to overcome these shortcomings. And then we have the experts, where we have gatherings with some, people around a particular asset class. They would like to understand what tokenization means, what are the real benefits or not, all the likes. And that's how SEBAversity is fully embedded. Now we are educating hundreds of banking relationship managers in SEBAversity to make themselves qualified and comfortable to talk about this new asset class to their clients in their financial institution.
Wow. Okay. And I think actually that falls very well into one of the last questions, unfortunately, of this episode, is that, you're probably familiar with the term buy Bitcoin, buy banks. And we've seen through SEBA actually that it's possible to do both and not to choose between either or. Tell us more about your thoughts on the potential development of the banking space alongside that of the crypto markets and blockchain technology.
Yeah, well, I maybe start on 30,000 feet and flying with the eagles, right? So we have these three internets, right? We had Internet of Communication, which basically disrupted the entire communication space, media, and the emergence of social media, where suddenly we were producers and consumers at the same time, right? Then we had the Internet of Things, which I always call the iPhone or the smartphone to be the symbol of bringing all these various dimensions together. And then it's the Internet of Value, which is basically blockchain. And in line with that, my vision in how we position and how I see the strategy is we want to be the smart bank of new finance. And smart bank, what does it mean, right? It's three things. It's connectivity in various ways. Connectivity electronically, APIs, it can be directly or through the P2P layer. Then the second one is access to a full ecosystem. So SEBA has, as I mentioned, this very holistic offering, and people can connect from a one particular angle, and then various organical follow-ups are happening in that context. And I also believe that the future is that many of the networks that today exist, is it Messenger or social media or what have you, they would like to have an integrated wallet. And if that integrated wallet is actually a wallet provided by a bank, you have your bank with you in your community, which gives a totally new dimension of interaction and possibility. And last but not least is the third element is self-directed capabilities, that you get all the analytics in a way presented that you can execute in line with your desires. And that's basically where I think it's heading to. In the next 5 years, nobody talks specifically or explicitly about blockchain and crypto, but it's just the nature of doing finance in a new form.
It's a wonderful way to conclude, I think. I mean, SEBA, the smart bank, and it's incredible. I mean, Guido, thank you so much for joining us here today. Do you have any final words for our listeners?
Not really. Thanks very much for the interest and time. And obviously, I always invite people to come to us because, if people are in front of the door, don't be shy to come in and look around. And we are always very excited to hear people's view. And we are a curious organization. We really want to learn every day and make sure that we can adapt ourselves in line with the demands that people have in I call it the new economy.
Wonderful.
That I would like to. That's my last word, so to speak.
No, that's fantastic. And if you enjoyed this conversation, feel free to check out more on our website, cryptovalley.swiss, where we host plenty of events, educational material, and even provide information on how you can join our growing community. So thanks again, Guido, for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Stay tuned, stay safe, and until next time from the Crypto Valley in Switzerland. Bye-bye.